She unfortunately was unavailable, but Kelly Farrell, also from Southern Caregiver Coalition, is available here fortunately today. She's a care manager with the Southern Caregiver Resource Center, and she's going to talk about a very important aspect of caregiving, which is controlling the frustrations that you may feel as a caregiver. It's a huge part of what you do, and it's very important. And again, we're here for the live webcast every Friday at noon, so that you are able to access this information right there, right at work, right at your desk, lunchtime, having a banana and a turkey sandwich, and getting this important information. We're always here though. After this, you can send us emails on the site, www.caregivercoalitionsd.org, or by the email there on the screen, and we'll follow up. And we are archiving these talks as well. So Kelly's going to talk about, this is a high-tech studio where I actually have to get up, and Kelly then joins you in front of the camera.
Hi, I'm Kelly Farrell. I'm Family Care Manager with Southern Caregiver Resource Center, specifically the Partners in Caring program. And I'm going to talk about how to control frustration that sometimes arises in caregiving. Being a caregiver for a loved one can be very difficult and at times challenging. Many caregivers will report frustration related to their caregiving situation. Well, that frustration is normal and a very valid response to some of the challenges that come up as a caregiver. Feeling frustrated can have serious negative consequences on both the caregiver and the person receiving the care. Frustration can negatively impact a caregiver's health, and it can also cause you to act verbally or physically aggressive towards the person you're caring for. So it's important in controlling frustration to distinguish between what is and what is not within your control to change. Some of the common areas that we find lead to frustration is knowledge. Often caregivers just lack the knowledge about the disease that they are encountering in their caregiving situation and how that disease can affect the behavior, mood, and reactions of the care receiver. Caregivers sometimes have unrealistic expectations that the patient cannot live up to, and that can be a big source of frustration. Caregivers could see the person completing one task fairly independently, but yet be totally dependent on another person to complete other tasks, which confuses the caregiver and can cause some frustration in understanding that person's ability. While in very rare cases, the patient may act out or refuse to do things intentionally, we do find those to be very rare, and usually it's the disease that is affecting how they're able to function in daily tasks. Another common source of anger or frustration can be our thoughts and attitudes. Caregivers can focus on the unfairness of having to care for someone else and having to give up certain parts of their life. And so they may believe that life should be fair, or that all of the family members should be equally sharing the responsibility involved in caregiving. Caregivers may also have those unrealistic and impossible expectations about what they should be able to do. For example, a caregiver may think that asking for help or accepting help and needing a break may mean they're a failure as a caregiver, and this can lead to some negative feelings, including resentment, in addition to the anger and frustration towards the person with the illness. Past relationships between a caregiver and the person receiving care can very greatly affect our emotions, our thoughts, and attitudes towards the person we're caring for. If the past relationship was marked by dysfunctional behavior, a caregiver may feel angry at having to provide the care now for someone who hasn't shown them that care and love in the past. Another source of frustration commonly is skills. Caregivers may not have enough tools and skills in their toolbox to help them reduce those normal and valid feelings of anger and frustration. Caregivers may try to suppress these feelings, while others may act out very aggressively and negatively and be unable to control those emotions. Neither of those responses are effective problem-solving techniques, and they often maintain the reason for our frustration. And lastly, there's always people or situations outside of our control, and it's easy to let these contribute to our frustration. And it's especially true when people prevent us from getting or doing something that we feel is very important. We all have very different things in our lives that can trigger our anger and frustration. So the very first step in resolving or decreasing those feelings is to identify the causes and sources of that frustration. Thoughts are a very difficult thing, because how we think really can contribute to how we feel and how we react to a certain situation. A certain situation for one caregiver could provoke anger or resentment, while another person may be calm and accepting. How we think about a situation determines how we're going to feel and respond. It's important to remember that any emotion involved in caregiving is not good or bad, and there is no wrong or right way to feel. It's just how we feel. What's important is how we handle those emotions and how we respond to them. Unhelpful thought patterns can be present in all of us and can help to keep us stuck in a train of thought that leads to us becoming upset. These thoughts in themselves aren't right or wrong, but they're not helpful in accomplishing what we want, such as reducing anger and frustration. I'm going to go over a few common unhelpful thought patterns and give some examples. One of them is overgeneralizing. An example of this form of unhelpful thought pattern is thinking, I can't do anything right, or nothing good ever happens. When we hear those powerful words, anything and nothing, we have to ask ourselves, is this statement true at all times? Are there any exceptions to this statement? Another common unhelpful thought pattern is discounting the positive. While there may be many negative things, it's easy to overlook some of the good things and to say statements like, we had a good morning, but it will never happen again. As a caregiver, you need to focus on all of the little positive things that occur in the day and remind yourself of those constantly. Another unhelpful thought pattern is jumping to conclusions or reading someone's mind. Many caregivers will say, my children won't help me out. They're too busy with their lives. And that statement is one example of that mind reading. We need to talk to folks and really find out what it is that they're thinking and feeling before we make any decisions. Another one is should statements, and these can be very dangerous. Caregivers will often say, I should take care of my mother. I should be able to do this on my own. And these don't lead us to finding better coping solutions, but can force us to take on too much responsibility and become frustrated easily. Southern Caregiver Resource Center offers a class that meets for 2 hours for 4 weeks on controlling frustration. If you want more information about this, you can certainly call Southern Caregiver Resource Center. The toll-free number is 1-800-827-1008, and also look at the Caregiver Coalition website, which has resources for caregivers on all sorts of different topics.
You're good? Okay, great.
How's that?
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Kelly.